Okay, I just want to do a quick update on the portable build, Raspberry Pi that I'm building. Currently you're looking at the console version. This is the other one that I had. This is the one that goes under the TV, with the rubber feet and the kill switch wired in there and the holes in the little case. That's the original one I had. The little tiny Raspberry Pi Zero with the hat on top, the joystick hat on top, is over there. The one I'm currently building is this one. It's slightly different in the fact that I haven't built the chassis for it yet because it's got to build the screen and whatnot in. On this one I've put just a couple of heat sinks. I've got one on the GPU, one on the CPU, and it's slightly overclocked. It's got a 64 gig memory card in there. Currently it has 57 gigs worth of games on it. And at the moment it's feeding power through a standard plug socket, but that will be a battery pack that's on its way. And again, it's going out via a standard HDMI into the screen, but again, I've ordered a tiny USB card. It's only 25 centimeters long and it has a very thin wire, so it will come out that way. That feeds into a 5-inch touchscreen that I bought, which is currently up here. Now the thing with this touchscreen is when you, like, by default the HDMI here and the power here running through the top. So I wrote a little piece of it's just a tiny little couple of lines in the config.txt which actually refreshes the image same way, so it still refreshes from the top to the bottom. So from the top to the bottom it refreshes, but the image is upside down, so it draws the lines in separately. It draws the lines in reverse, so the image is flipped, but the screen is still refreshing the right way. The problem is that the touch screen on top, I can either get it to rotate the image or I can get it to rotate the touchscreen, but currently I can't figure out why it won't do both at the same time. So if I want the touchscreen, the HDMI is going to have to feed from the top, and then the cable is going to have to feed down the back with a small little adapter, which I have, this. So it will feed in via the top, and then it will feed the HDMI down the back, which I don't want. I want a nice clean thin unit. So I'm gonna forget the touchscreen for now. I'll worry about that later. Also, to make it slimline, I've removed the header on the back that used to stick out quite a way, and you can see I've just removed it and clipped it. These spacers are just temporary, so now I have a nice thin screen. The only thing that will stick out is the focus, there we go, the backlight on off screen, and it'll be the width of that, because that breakout, the GPIO header did come out quite a way, so I forgot that. Currently I'm running PS1 games on it. It looks lovely. It outputs in 1080 60, and then it goes down to 800 by 480, but it looks lovely on this tiny little screen. It's real nice, it's super crisp. I can't say enough good things about this screen, and it's like 20 something quid. It's like, you know, fairly inexpensive. Refresh rate is nice, no flicker. Again, you have to write the code for it yourself, but once you get it right, and you get the refresh right and everything else right, and the dimensions right, and it looks nice. It's just a bit of work getting it done, and getting the screen rotated as well is not easy. So yeah, so I'm going to build a chassis that has a battery coming out the side, and these will come out the side. It'll be acrylic, and it will have a hinge, which is why I bought the thin HDMI cable, so it can hinge nicely. As far as the audio goes, because the screen has no speakers on it, this is the problem I've been having. I bought this small analog controller here, and I've managed to get solder stuck into this little pin down here. The problem is this was £3, and the speaker, it sounds nice. It's got like a little 8 ohm speaker on the side, and it sounds nice, but there's a little bit of hiss, which is why I originally tried it with that one, and then I desoldered that and then tried it with that one. I'm still getting hiss through, and I think the hiss is from the jack here, because it feeds the power and the ground off the GPIO pins, but the sound itself actually comes out of here. So what I've done is I've ordered a another sound breakout board that is completely digital, so it doesn't use the analog out. And what that will do is, instead of having these pins that go to the ground and the power, it will have 5 pins. It will have the 2 that go to the ground and power, and then another 3 will feed sound out of here rather than sound out of here, so it should eliminate the hiss. And I think that comes in at a whopping like £6. So these, as good as they were and the sound did come out, I'm done with them, because I don't really want the hiss out of that tiny little speaker. It does make a difference. And then the only other thing I have to put in once I build the thing is this tiny little fan. It's pretty much silent. It runs off the 5-volt GPIO pin, and once it's installed, you never hear it. But yeah, that's really just all that's left. And then I'll once it's all together, I say it will have the battery pack, which is roughly the same dimensions as the Pi itself. It's supposed to sit underneath, but I'm actually going to run them side by side. Then run the screen, which is about the same width as the 2 of them together. So the screen will run here, and then flip up that way, hopefully. So we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so that's as far as I've got at the minute. And when I do the next one, then it will show you kind of roughly how far I've come with that. Hopefully I can get this sound working, because the sound is the biggest issue at the minute. The speaker sounds all right, but that analog, this little analog breakout board, it's good for what it is, but what it is a £3 little chip that comes out, and you can see that I've just got solder wedged in there. The the desoldering tool to get the solder out costs more than another one of these boards, so it's not really worth me buying it. I'll just use the soldering iron I've got at the minute and then sort it out, manually. But yeah, that's kind of where I am at the minute. Alright, peace.